My husband and I, Lucas, were excited when we bought that old apartment in the city center. The place was charming, with dark wood details and floors that ran in a way that seemed to give the house personality. The staircase, leading to the second floor, was imposing, with a worked iron railing and steps that echoed with any firmer step. At the time, we thought it was just another vintage detail, something that would give our new home a special touch. But we soon found out that this ladder kept something much darker. It all started a few weeks after we moved. It was always around 11 p.m., when we were already lying in the room, which we heard the steps. They were slow, heavy, as if someone were going down the stairs with difficulty. On the first night, I thought it was some neighbor, perhaps an elderly man who lived upstairs. Lucas even joked that it should be the building waking up at night, as if he had his own life. But the steps continued every night at the same time with the same slow and dragged cadence. I started to get bothered because it seemed that anyone down never reached the end of the stairs. After a week listening to those steps, I decided to investigate. One night, I waited until the time the noise used to start and went to the door of our apartment. Lucas was reluctant, but ended up going with me. We opened the door slowly, trying not to make a noise, and look at the stairs. The corridor was empty, but the steps continued, echoing as if someone was really there, descending step by step. My heart accelerated when I realized that there was no one, just the sound, clear and clear, as if coming from elsewhere. The next day, I decided to ask the caretaker if he knew something. That's when things got even stranger. He was pale when I mentioned the steps on the stairs, and, after hesitation, told me about a woman who died in the building for over 50 years. She had health problems, and, according to him, died as she descended the stairs, trying to reach the phone to ask for help. Since then, her footsteps are said to be repeated every night, as if she was stuck at that moment, reliving her last attempt at salvation. When he finished speaking, I felt a cold through my spine. It was as if the story had given life to what we were hearing, and suddenly those steps gained a much scarier meaning. That night, the footsteps seemed higher, more real. Lucas and I sat in the room, in silence, listening to every step ranging as if someone was really down. This time, we can't ignore it. We decided to go up to the top floor to see if there was anything that could explain what was going on. The hallway was dark, with only a weak light on the ceiling, and the air seemed heavier, as if we were entering a place we shouldn't. When we reached the top of the stairs, there was no one, but the sound continued from below, as if the woman was going down even without being there. It was then that I felt something that I will never forget. While we were standing at the top of the stairs, a cold wave passed me, as if someone had opened a door to winter. Lucas felt and pulled me back, scared. We looked at each other without saying anything, but we both knew something was wrong. At that moment, I heard a low, almost imperceptible sigh coming from the stairs. It was as if someone was tired, suffering, and I felt such a deep sadness that I almost cried. It wasn't just fear. It was like that place was loaded with a pain that was never gone. After that night, the steps began to chase me during the day. No matter what time, I always seemed to hear a distant creak, as if the stairs were alive, keeping the memory of that woman. Lucas tried to calm me down, saying it was just my mind playing with me, but I knew it wasn't just that. One afternoon, while he was at work, I decided to research more about the history of the building. I found an old digitized newspaper talking about the death of a lady named Donna Maria in 1968. She had suffered a heart attack as she descended the stairs to ask for help. The description hit what the janitor had told me, and that only confirmed that what we were listening to was not normal. That night, I decided to face fear. I sat in the hallway staring at the stairs, waiting for the steps to start. When they came, they were slower than ever, as if the woman was tired of repeating it every day. I stood, listening to every step ranger, and felt an inexplicable urge to climb to her. trying to help her in some way. But the fear held me. It was as if I knew that if I stood, I would find something I wasn't ready to see. So I was there, immovable, until the steps stopped, as they always did, in the middle of the stairs. And for the first time, I felt that she wasn't trying to scare us. She just wanted to rest. In the following days, the steps continued. But something has changed. They looked lighter, as if the presence that caused them was losing strength. Lucas noticed the difference and commented that we might have been getting used to it. But I knew it wasn't just that. It was as if the woman, Donna Maria, was saying goodbye. One night, I decided to do something I had never done before. I stayed on the stairs, sitting on the middle step, waiting for the steps to start. When they came, I felt a shiver, but I didn't get up. I stayed there, looking at the void, and for the first time, I had the feeling that she was seeing me too. It was not scary. It was more like a recognition, as if she knew I was trying to understand. That night, the steps stopped before reaching the end of the stairs. I heard one last sigh, almost a whisper, and then the silence took over the place. Since then, we've never heard anything again. The ladder continues to grind, but now it's just the normal sound of an old house. Lucas thinks it was our mind preaching us pieces, but I know it wasn't just that. Something happened that night, something I can't explain. Sometimes I still sit on the stairs, hoping to hear something, but there is only silence. And somehow I feel that Donna Maria finally found peace. Even with silence returning to normal, that experience left a mark on me. I can no longer go up or down the stairs without thinking about it, without imagining how it must have been for Donna Maria that night, alone and desperate. Sometimes, when I'm home alone, I still feel a shiver, as if someone was watching me. It is no more scary, but a memory, a presence that was impregnated in that place. Lucas laughs when I talk about it, says I should stop watching horror movies, but I know what happened was real. The strangest of all is that since that night, the building looks different. The neighbors comment that the heavy weather that always existed here has disappeared, as if something had been resolved. Even the caretaker, who always avoided talking about it, seems more comfortable. He even told me in one of our chats that Donna Maria's story was a kind of legend in the building, but that no one had ever heard the steps as we heard. This made me think that we might have been the only ones to really find it. And somehow, I think she just wanted to be heard, that someone knew about her story. Today, when I look at the stairs, I still feel a cold in the spine, but also a certain sadness. It is as if this place kept a memory that no longer belongs to this world, but still needs to be remembered. Lucas and I never talked about what happened, but sometimes when we are sitting in the room at night, and the silence is broken by any creak, our eyes meet for a moment. We need not say anything. We both know what the other is thinking. The stairs remains there, imposing and full of history. But now it seems silent, as if it had finally rested. I will never be able to explain what happened at that time. I try to rationalize, to say it was just a sequence of coincidences. But deep down, I know it was more than that. Donna Maria existed, and somehow she was still here, stuck in that eternal cycle. And as scary as it was, I feel that we somehow help her to move on. The stairs still range, the building still has its secrets, but that feeling of weight, something always observing, disappeared. And although I can never prove anything, I know that night has changed something, not just in the building, but in me too. Sometimes when I'm alone at home, I still stop and look at the stairs, hoping to hear something. But there are no more steps, only the silence and echo of my own memories. I think, in a way, that experience made me understand that there are things that go beyond what we can explain. I don't know if Donna Maria finally found peace, or if she just decided to leave us alone. But what matters is that something has changed. The building looks lighter, and I am. Still, whenever someone asks me if I believe in fantasies, I smile and think of that stairs. I don't need to believe it, I know. Today we live our lives normally, as if nothing had happened. But every once in a while, When the wind hits the windows, or when the silence of the night looks very deep, I find myself thinking about her. Donna Maria, the lady on the stairs. Not as a ghost or a haunt, but as a person who once lived, suffered, and somehow left his mark. And although I can never explain what happened, I know that experience made me look at life and death differently. The stairs is still there, and I still listen to it grinding from time to time. But now, the sound doesn't scare me anymore. He only reminds me that sometimes the past needs to be heard so he can rest.